Hello, I picked a peck of pickled peppers, but stuff still happens. So what's up? Some children's snacks got a little too spicy. Supermarket chain Lidl has done a recall on some Paw Patrol themed snacks, which is gross to begin with. Stop advertising to children. But they did a recall on that because those boxes have a URL on them that leads to a site that shows a bunch of porn. Just, hey kids, put this in your phone. When you go to the site on like a desktop, it's just like a placeholder boring website. When you go to it on your phone, however, it shows a bunch of hardcore porn. So that you don't want your kid to do that. Speaking of keeping kids from porn, God, when did this become the topic of the month? All right, so last episode I talked about Australia deciding to not require ID verification in order for their citizens to watch porn, due to the obvious privacy issue. Well, now a federal judge has struck down a Texas law that would have done exactly that. Republicans in Texas have joined their Republican colleagues in Utah and Virginia and Louisiana and whatnot to pass a law that requires you to verify yourself with the government using a central government database before you're allowed to watch porn. Quoting the concern from the judge, permissible age verification is using a traceable government-issued identification, and the government has access to it and is not required to delete the data. Just what we've always wanted. The judge has struck down the bill. I want to be very clear that this is not the end. They're already fighting back. They very much want to encroach on your rights because it's impossible to just talk to your children about healthy boundaries. The judge that struck down this bill also noted that you can use filtering and blocking software, which is much more effective and proactive and doesn't require a massive invasion of privacy for all adults in the state. Wild. Let's talk about the very soggy Burning Man. The Soggy Man. You have probably already heard, but if you have not, Burning Man has turned into a literal disaster. If you're not familiar with Burning Man, it is an annual festival in the middle of a desert where everybody shows up and builds a temporary city and sets a big effigy on fire, but mostly just do a lot of drugs and have a lot of sex. It is very popular among affluent people who want to cosplay as poor people. Where once it was about art and counterculture, it's now mostly about status and going to Burning Man. Like literal celebrities go to it, and also a ton of tech bros who just want to do ayahuasca in the desert. Anyway, there was a rainstorm, and also they're not just in a desert, they're in an ancient lake bed. So the rainstorm has activated the soil underneath of them and created something like worse than mud. Basically, it is mud that is way stickier than mud, and you cannot even walk on it without it just completely covering your shoes and engulfing you. You certainly cannot drive, and so now emergency vehicles and supply vehicles cannot get in or out. Porta potties are overflowing, emergency services cannot access the festival grounds, and someone has already died. There are also reports of additional deaths, but we can't really get the information on that because nobody can get in or out. Notably, the festival being destroyed by inclement weather happened after climate protesters blocked the highway to get to the festival. They were protesting the fact that there's a bunch of people using private jets to go to Burning Man in the desert and pretend to be environmentally conscious. Among, many other reasons to protest for climate change. Anyway, cops did their cops thing and rammed their barricade with the protesters right there. Just took a car and rammed through the barricade. Not even stopping, not first approaching them and trying to disband them peacefully, just ramming their barricade. That cop then got out of his car, immediately drew his gun, started pointing it at the protesters who were just being peaceful protesters, and started to drag them around and yell at them. The cop having a temper tantrum is now under investigation for an excessive use of power. I'll let you know when he gets his raise. Oh, speaking of cops doing cop shit, let's talk about the NYPD spying on you with drones. So in America, it's Labor Day, and there's gonna be a lot of celebrations. And if you're doing a celebration on Labor Day and you're being a little noisy, the cops might use a drone to spy on you. See, NYPD has just way too much money, and for some reason they have surveillance drones. And while previously they were like, don't worry, we're not gonna use it to spy on you, they have now said that they're going to deploy those drones if they get stuff like noise complaints so that they can investigate without having to get off their asses. But don't take my word for it. Here is Assistant NYPD Commissioner Kaz Daughtry. Quote, if a caller states there is a large crowd, a large party in the backyard, we're going to be utilizing our assets to go up and check on the party. According to a report from Engadget, the NYPD has deployed drones 124 times in 2023. This isn't theoretical. The cops are using drones to spy on you. Do they need a warrant? Who cares? I do. They don't. On this day in 1666, the Great Fire of London hit its peak. The fire was burning through the city towards the Tower of London, which had a lot of gunpowder reserve. In a desperate attempt to stop the fire, people stationed at the Tower of London took the gunpowder and blew up a bunch of buildings to make a fire break. I love using explosions to stop fire. Anyway, it kind of worked. The fire also consumed St. Paul's Cathedral and caused the lead roof of the cathedral to melt, which is quite literally metal as hell. Lightning round. Jimmy Buffett has passed away at the age of 76. To deal with privacy concerns from the EU, Facebook and Instagram are considering a paid ad-free tier. To deal with not having legs, Meta has been working on adding legs to the avatars in their VR metaverse that nobody cares about. Researchers have trained an AI to predict what something will smell like based on its chemical compounds, and that's one of the best uses of AI I've ever heard of. I want to know what stuff smells like. Self-driving cars in San Francisco are causing chaos. One person is dead after the cars were blocking emergency vehicles and just not moving. The cars are operated by a robot taxi company that residents of San Francisco have vocally said they don't want to have. But the SF board said, nah, we'll expand the program. There was a show of hate from literal Nazis near Orlando, Florida over the weekend. This is your reminder that it is a moral imperative to punch Nazis in the mouth. The studio behind Baldur's Gate 3 has said that the characters you can recruit were accidentally too horny because of a bug. Here's the weather. X/Twitter's privacy policy has been updated to confirm that they will be using your data to train their AIs. This includes any art you've posted, any photos you've posted of yourself, and anything you've written on Twitter. Steve Harwell, the lead singer from Smash Mouth, has entered hospice care. He's only in his 50s, but he's got liver failure due to alcoholism. He lost his kid really early. He's had it kind of rough. And finally for today, we have confirmation that Trump's trial from Georgia will be live streamed for free on the internet. So that's going to be that's going to be bazonkers, y'all. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that stuff. It really helps. My name is Endeavorance. I'll be back on Wednesday. Take care and be well.